I think he's right. You gotta go betwixt on this one.
At least you know your own name.
Oh, hell no!
Oh, Dark Souls 2, I hate how much I love you. From your beautiful scenery, to your wonky hit detection, to your way too many enemies crammed in one tiny area. And then you get totally combo hit, and then you scream. The baffling decisions, like making your dodge roll go off of a stat, which is mildly annoying. But even given all of that, this is a great game. At least a 9.5 out of 10. Beautifully cinematic cutscenes, presenting creatively designed bosses with an interesting moveset that feel fun and unique. Beautiful. I need to say it, beautifully stylized landscapes. This is the prettiest looking Dark Souls game. And it's not just the landscapes. Even the boss arenas are pretty. Look at that gosh dang ambient occlusion. That's just peak right there. Peak. And also look at the boss. He's so interesting looking. Can someone say Crucible Knight? Crucible Knight done stole his drip, and I don't blame him. He's a trendsetter. And granted, there are some places that look horrendous in this game. Int, it rhymes with the wash mash meal. And honestly, that's just my opinion. If you love gray and boring, then you'll love this place. It also doesn't help that it has one of the worst bosses in the whole game. 3 Ruin Knights that just team up on you and destroy you over and over again. It's not very fun. But even then, Dark Souls 2 does this masterful thing. It feels totally unfair, but also completely fair at the same time. Never has defeating a boss felt so satisfying in this series. And I think that has to do a little bit with the fact that this game's kinda bad. I don't know how they really did it, but the movement in this game feels 10 times stiffer than Dark Souls 1. They went from the free-flowing buttery goodness of Dark Souls 1 to their best emulation of what it must be to drive a tank. And strangely enough, I think that this works in its favor. Much like drinking alcohol, some of the fun comes from fighting your drunk body, overcoming the massive blow to your nervous system and liver. Dark Souls 2 feels exactly like that. You're constantly having to overcome the suck factor, and this makes you have to think in a very specific way. It kinda adds a new challenge. This game feels very similar to games like Getting Over It, Jump King, Pogo Stuck, Bread and Fred. It's an unfairness that keeps you going. You want to succeed. You want to overcome the odds. The mechanics may not be on your side, but by golly, you're going to defeat that boss. And when you do, it feels like you've moved a mountain. An insurmountable task has been overcome. And that makes the fruit of victory all the sweeter. And your indulgence is completely earned. But gameplay aside, what about the story?
No one has come this far for a very long while. Young Harlow, do you wish to shed this curse? Then accept the fate of your ilk and face the trials that await you. Unless you have already joined the quest for
It's a banger. It's an absolute banger. Granted, there are many similarities between Dark Souls 1 and 2's story, but you know, it's
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
And even given those similarities, it's an engaging new story that you feel very connected to all the way through. The voice acting's great, the characters are great, the visuals are great, and I know I've already said it, but by golly, them visuals. Look at that. You can see the dragon shadow. You can see the dragon shadow. And not even to mention the shadows. Look at the dragons. Look how cool that looks. That's such a cool set piece. This game is firing on all cylinders all the time. Except in the Lost Bastille. It's got good story. It's got good bosses. It's got good combat. It's got good voice acting, it's got great visuals. Why don't people like this game? It's no secret this game's the black sheep of the franchise. This game constantly gets ranked lower than the other two, and I can't really tell why. Is this game punishingly difficult? Yeah, it is. but I think that adds to its charm. It never came to a point where I wanted to give up. I did have to take some very heated breaks, but you know, I'm not gonna stop. But this game is good despite all of its flaws. I might even say it's great. So if you're on the fence, you're scared of the bad publicity it's got, try it out. You might just find your new favorite Souls game. You can either get the original or the Scholar of the First Sin remaster on Steam. Some nerds say there's differences between the two and that one is worse than the other, but I found minimal differences between the two, so it's really up to your choice. But I say Dark Souls 2 is a must-play for any Souls fan.